we were confronting the laughing assassin, Galvin, on the road. He confesses that he was hired by the wife of his victim, but tries to talk us out of um, dealing with him. But, he's dealing with a bunch of lawful, good nerds. And so we were all like, nah, fuck you, mate. And he's all like, all right, then, confusion, jazz hands on Avel. Um, but we beat on him, and he manages to run away using Dimension Door. So we backtrack and follow his path towards the Figalog Bog, and during which we encounter a barbarian wildling woman named Mora, who confesses to killing Galvin because he was bad and in her swamp. She tells us that about Harissa, or yeah, Harissa, the witch, and her son, the frog myth. So we, yeah, Harissa lures people into the bog and gives them to her monster to eat. Lenore recognizes the monster as a frog hemoth based off of the illusion that Fitz puts forth from like the images he's getting from Mora's head. And we managed to convince Mora to help us take out the hag and the frog hemoth. It wasn't a very difficult convincing, as it seems Mora had lost some very important people to her thanks to the hag, and so we go and we kill the hag almost expertly. There wasn't much left after Mora and Lenore and Fitzbird's magics were through with her. But then we had to fight the frog hemoth, and that was a little bit more dangerous. We looted the burning hut before it could completely burn away, getting a broom of flying, a saddle of the cavalier, and then we go rest at Mora's, and we talk to her about her options now that she's free from like the stuff in the woods. Basically, Lenore and Tanith tell her about the Sanctum of Silverwind, and Avel tells her about the Frayed Knot, and just to like let her know that if she doesn't want to be alone anymore, she can go somewhere where there are people. And now we're resting with her because she's a sweet summer child, and she deserves happiness.
Sweet swampy child.
Yes.
Indeed. So, your rest comes to an end, and you enjoy the pleasant company of Mora and a pleasant evening of monging and sleeping and whatnot. And when morning comes, Mora offers to escort the four of you back towards your cart, and she'll lead you, if you accept, a path devoid of swampiness, a bit drier and less disease-ridden.
That would be lovely.
Yes, that would be most welcome. I don't know why this accent happened. I think it's because Liam copied his accent a little bit. It's okay.
Tanith's possessed again.
I should have helped him.
She's just channeling another character.
Yeah. So as you takes you a couple hours to get through the forest and into the swamp and across, but you make pretty good time. And Mora kind of stops at the tree line, like crouching in the shadows, but not wanting to. She looks like a little nervous about leaving the woods. Almost like a dog not wanting to leave its house, you know?
Avo, believe we're back on dry land, I guess. And the horse is still there?
Yeah.
He maybe like unties the horse. I cannot remember its name. Sorry, Fitz.
Hello, Harley.
Harley.
Harley. Harley, not Harley.
Like Harley Davidson.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, he turns around and sees this and goes, I can't promise you the world isn't out there isn't dangerous, but neither is isn't fraught with danger, but neither is your swamp or your home.
Yeah, she doesn't actually live in the swamp part. Her forest area is a bit nicer than the swamp bit. And she says,
He would say home.
yeah. She'll just kind of nod and say, it is not danger that scares me. People call me Bodark. I do not like this name.
What does that mean?
Are any of you from, I believe, Dan, you're from Sona originally, yeah?
Corolla.
Yeah, which is the capital of Sona. Yeah. So yeah, you speak Sonan. Sonian,
Okay.
Sonan. Anyone else?
I'm not sure if we talked about the countries. They weren't on the map, right?
They're on the coloured map. There's two.
Okay.
Yeah.
He spoke about them briefly in our session.
Uh,
0.2 for this.
Yeah,
These
I
are,
can give you a little overview considering you're going to be heading.
If the Sanctum of the Silver Wind is in Sona, yes? Question mark?
Yeah, it is, but it's not really affiliated with Sona.
Oh, would they be speaking Sonan there, or would they be speaking some language?
It's a bit of a melting pot, but like a lot of people will speak Sonan there. It's kind of like the Vatican, how it's not technically part of Italy, but it sort of is. You know.
Well, then I will let that be up to you whether or not Tanith understands it then.
She'd probably understand it, having lived there her whole life. But
Lenore probably does, because she's all like a knowledge monkey.
yeah,
Doesn't have a clue.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
so yeah, I'll talk you through the countries very quickly then. There's basically four main human countries, which take up Ara. There's Sona, which is where you guys are. It's ruled by Queen Malovna and Princess Heidi. It's like a very wealthy sort of cosmopolitan place, like, you know, good farmland, very like scientific, but you know, just like it's ruled very well. The people are generally pretty happy. It's a good place to live. There's Kuria, which is sort of the black sheep of the four kingdoms. The king and queen are, I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But they're fucking awful. And they just sort of constantly eat. A lot of people think they're maybe cursed or whatever. But they don't really do much ruling and are just these sort of gluttonous, very selfish, very rude and abrasive.
Barons and warlords.
Yeah, they give off a big Harkonnen vibe.
Okay.
Leshland gets a lot of stick because they're very like old-fashioned and you know, care a lot about propriety. To become a knight in Leshland is like the main goal of pretty much everyone who lives there. You know, they value like not just strength but more strategy than anything else. They care about like being able to lead and that sort of thing. Like anyone who are knights there are given like these special kind of knightly sort of nickname type things, and so it's very just highly looked upon. And then Ogorath is the sort of typical northernly somewhere between like Vikings, Mongols, like just that sort of
Tribal.
yeah, quite tribal. I mean, they're all ruled by a sort of high king, but it's very like, you know, each place takes care of itself. They value strength. They value, you know, good farmland. That sort of thing. Also, Sona is pretty much like everywhere looks like Russian, and everyone speaks. Yeah, it's got a lot of Russian cultural cues to it. So there's a very like what's the word, brutalist? No, that style of architecture. Yeah.
Yeah, the big concrete things.
Yeah.
Soviet Russia.
Yeah. I mean, not, you know, that sort of
Obviously, with the
motif.
concrete, but yes, like
Yeah, fantasy brutalistic. Yeah, it's exactly like square stuff.
just what we're getting a rundown. Are there any particular alliances or wars between those nations currently ongoing, or cold wars, tensions?
Yeah, good question. Sona and Leshland are very close. They have great respect for one another. Mainly the Leshland, like sort of ruling class, have always respected how effectively Sona's leaders kind of rule, because that's what they respect more than anything. And you know, Sona tries very hard to be, you know, get on with everyone. They're, you know, they see the value in, you know, having friends a lot. So, you know, diplomacy and stuff are very important to them. So those two get on really well, and that kind of creates like a band across the middle of the country, that sort of prevents a lot of tension. That being said, like, you know, Ogarath, tribes are always raiding south, like villages and stuff, and you know, they are politely asked to stop and things, but the, you know, king is always like, well, it's nothing to do with me, they're allowed to do what they want, you know.
Sure. So it's like not like all out war.
No, but there's tension there, yeah. And then Courier is sort of just this weird, like, inbred cousin that, like, everyone there is trying real hard, but the king and queen, like,
The black sheep at the family.
Yeah.
Nobody like is just like, no, just leave them. Don't.
yeah, like, they're the one who turns up in, like, a latex Nazi outfit to the Thanksgiving dinner, and you're like, come on, man, read the room. In other words, they're the Rob Barkley of the,
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that, but
I don't have a latex Nazi outfit, just
thank God.
Just a regular.
just a regular latex outfit.
It just says Gimp on it.
Kid life.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's always tensions with Courier just because they are very, like, very rude, and abrasive, but and it really rubs the Leshland up the wrong way just because they're very proper and things, but most people just ignore them for now.
And
Yeah.
so this, you whatever word she said.
Bodok, yeah.
What does that mean?
Means werewolf. Though
Oh.
it's not entirely true. They have this sort of, like, they think she's a bloodthirsty monster.
Because she's a Berber and
Mm-hmm.
It's a big gal with a big scary sword.
And she's covered in bones and stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna go all out and have her wearing, like, a deer skull, but nah.
She's taking it to the dry clean.
Yeah.
Something to watch.
It's getting the horns re-gored.
deer skulls are very, like, you know, she outgrew it because those are very small.
Yeah.
I have to find a bigger deer. Dire deer.
She says that, and Tanif will just say, like, you'll always, you go that way, and she'll point in the direction we're headed. The Sanctum of the Silver Wind doesn't care about such things.
It's kind of follows the line of your finger and nods. I will, when I'm feeling braver, maybe. She kind of gives a small smile.
The necklace I left with you, you can, show that. I'll tell them about you when we get there.
Thank you, Tanith. Everyone. She
Right.
kind of blushes again and stalks back into the woods.
You're welcome.
Step carefully. And I'll give a big wave. She disappears.
You raise her axe. But yeah, you were all left on a sort of a crisp, we'll say, autumn morning. It's very sunny, but you can still see your breath, kind of thing. It's quite pleasant.
Avo scratches under Tala's chin and looks up and down the road, and there doesn't seem to be any activity. Presuming as we're getting this wagon back on.
That's correct, sir.
Oh. And he'll speak in Elvish. Not that he knows everyone can understand it, but I think that's the language he probably talks to his pet in.
He's Aragorning.
Yeah. I think you can probably stretch your legs for a bit longer. No one around yet. And he probably does that proper Aragorning, forehead to skin.
Yeah. Brego.
Yeah, very good.
Now, if you're Aragorning, you have to roll your R's when you're speaking Elvish.
There's no R's in Tala though, actually. Though it sounds like it, I guess. It's
Tala.
Ta-da.
Ta-ra! Ta-ra, ta-ra.
So he's going to leap on board and think he was steering before, and then Tala can just trot around, enjoy
Yeah.
the crispness.
She just has a snuffle in the crisp leaves. Rusty spoon. Yeah, she just... Yeah, I'm glad you know what that's from. I hope you do, at least.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Oof. Yeah, she has a snuffle about and trots around. She's a direwolf, so she's big. Yeah,
This
the
is why
size
you
of
don't
a...
go around cities with her?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of picturing her
Horse.
sort of,
Horse.
yeah, up to Avel's shoulder, kind of.
Yes.
Which, holy shit, that is scary.
It is a very big wolf. Direwolf
Yeah.
is big.
Yeah.
And he'll probably, if we start to get closer to civilization or the traffic picks up or something, he'll probably
Bamford
put it back
way.
in the bag. But,
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah. So, it's a couple more days to the Sanctum. The road kind of begins to get steeper and steeper, and the horse definitely tires quicker each day. It's still manageable. It's definitely accessible by carriage for the food deliveries and such, but it's a bit of a trek. And as you're going up, you're seeing you're definitely getting these kind of drifts of ice that you're beginning to pass. You ascend and you're getting very high now. And the rocks are very craggy, and I imagine Lenore and Tanith are finding it, fine having spent most of their lives here, but maybe Fitz and Aval are finding the shortness of breath a little disconcerting as you climb.
It's a little cold.
Yeah, it's definitely very cold. But finally you see those sort of big stone towers rising up in front of you, large kind of sweeping courtyard out front that sort of leads back into this very squat monastery, but it's got these like high towers. Aside from the sort of shorter central structure, and you see like the walls are this like dark slate grey stone that's got these like small like drifts of red in it, which is like you can see is like all around you, like the rocks and the natural stone of this area seems to have that sort of that red tint to it every now and then, and you can see like the doorway is like this very short kind of modest door that like some of the taller people among you may have to duck to enter. It's like a very small closed off place to preserve heat. Lenore and Tanit, the sight of it fills you with several emotions, I imagine, but probably a great deal of nostalgia, at least.
This is the home.
Oh, yeah, it's our home.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
the one that you described in the thing, in the body, and then I could see it. It's very pretty.
Is it busy?
There's a few people hanging about, all wearing these sort of like simple grey robes. Their hair like tied up and folded on tops of their heads a lot of the time. You can see there's like a cart that's arrived ahead of you. And there's people like offloading sacks of grain.
You said it, as you mentioned, it was Vatican City. Does it have different nationalities from the different countries? Is it
Yeah.
different races, or is it mostly so?
Very good question. It's probably mostly Sonan. Just because they're the people who are nearest, but there are people of other races for sure. People from all the countries definitely. Though probably only one or two Ogarathi. Among the more interesting people you don't see any elves. And elves are something of a rarity. They do live in these mountains, just like the high elves all live in one big city away from everyone else and never really see anyone apart from every, I think, 100 years or 10 years, I can't remember. They like send a pair of people out to go and visit all the kingdoms of man and sort of bring gifts. And there's some like sea elves and stuff to the north. You do see a few tieflings around, as well as a couple orcs, half orcs, that kind of thing. No dwarves, but there's a few people of other races though. Yeah, I would say maybe 60-70% Sonan.
Do I need the people?
Don't believe so.
They won't be weirded by a catman.
they might be curious.
There's definitely, like, as you guys kind of step off the cart, there's definitely some looks, but
Hello. Waves off, people staring at him.
they immediately stop staring.
I
Quite
like
the
it.
place. Some
It's
nice
nice
views.
enough. My sister Vendru wanted to see you, though. You don't want to keep her waiting.
I was thinking something very similar.
Is that your mother figure?
No. Well, not mine.
Not really mind. Someone you want to keep waiting.
Okay.
Suppose I probably should have asked what I know of Sister Vendru before we got here, but
You're not far from the truth. She's sort of a best described as a Professor McGonagall character. Scary but respected. Just wants what's best for everyone and wants to get the best out of everyone, but you wouldn't cross her.
Loves Quidditch.
I bet I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that the only time that she's ever had like any sort of like matronly affection from Sister Ventrue would probably be after Tannis' return of her like ill-fated first adventure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's that sort of, yeah, definitely you would have got stuff. And also, like, you know, if you did something bad, she'd give you a bollocking, but then she'd be like, hey, come on, you know.
Yeah.
Have a biscuit, let's talk about how we can make this better, kind of thing. Yeah, like, I imagine you love Sister Ventrue, but you're still a little bit scared of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she
It all, but yeah.
she's well loved and, like, you know, runs the place very well.
Is she in charge?
Yeah.
Like you say, like runs the place. She's like,
she is.
Not Professor McGonagall. She's Dumbledore. Then. But,
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But has the personal traits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, you guys kind of enter through the what is commonly referred to as the ducking door. It's only about 5 foot high, and you are kind of come out in the large central courtyard of the monastery, where you can see from across the way Sister Ventrue in her sort of silvery grey robes, just the same as everyone else's, but her sleeves are rolled up and she's helping like carry a sack of wheat towards the kitchens, walking.
She's of a grand age, right?
Yeah, she's about 70, looks like, but you can see like her sleeves are rolled up right to her shoulders, and she's got kind of those like thin but muscular arms, and she barely looks like she's breaking a sweat, and she's just got it slung over one shoulder, and she's just chatting animatedly with one of the other sisters, who's like huffing and puffing, trying to lug this thing to keep up with her. And you see she like dumps the sack down by the door, and then someone else like comes up from below from the kitchens and like begins lugging it down as she walks back for another one. And she kind of glances over, and she spots the four of you kind of standing up and straightening up out the door, and she kind of, you see her, she kind of purses her lips and excuses herself from the conversation, begins marching over. Like, she walks and steps very confidently, with that excellent posture, even though the cobbles are like very slippy and people are stumbling, as like some other people are like sweeping the snow and stuff away and pouring hot water on the cobbles and, you know, oil to or salt to you know, stop them slipping. And she kind of walks over and pulls out what she always seems to carry with her, which is like a small sort of like stick rod for like pointing at things on boards. She does a lot of the teaching, and she kind of jab you in the stomach with it, Lenore. Stand up straight. Come on.
It's great to be home.
Hello.
Yes. She kind of, her eyes like rest on you for a second, Fitz, and then like glance at Aval, and then gives him like an up and down. Gives a sort of,
May the winds carry you.
yes, whatever. Let's get out of the cold. She'll kind of give Tanith a sort of curt nod, and lead you all towards another kind of archway on the eastern side of the courtyard. And she walks like very fast, and you realize you have to like slightly jog to keep up, which, you know, is very slippy. But somehow you'll manage to get through, and she kind of rubs her sort of pink arms from the cold and the exertion as she gets inside. And you see her office is a bit of a closet. There's a small fire burning, and like a lot of books everywhere, but everything's very neatly organized. There's no desk, but there's like a small kind of end table almost, like with two seats beside it. And she'll like kind of turn and face you all. How was your trip? Successful, I hope?
Very.
Very. Is that all the information you're going to give, or do I get more than that?
We fought a witch.
It was so successful, we discovered a cult of the old earth, and now are following up leads for a second cell.
She kind of fixes you with a stare. Good. Good. Though, I see your demeanour is still somewhat slovenly. I'd hoped that would have been...
Down at herself and blushes.
No matter. I am glad to see you all safe and amid new company. She kind of flick her eyes towards...
It's good to see you're good too.
This is Fitz and Aval.
Pleasure to meet you both.
I'm fine.
You left word that you wanted to see me.
I did. But I will discuss that with you in a moment, when you're alone. For now, please tell me everything you know of this cult of the old earth, you called it. We can fast forward that. You guys just sort of giving her the down there.
Definitely let Lenore handle the debriefing.
You see Tanith, as she's like, as Lenore is describing a lot of the cult and their activity, she's like glancing over at you specifically. Make me an insight check.
Oh boy. Oh, I don't have dice out.
You don't pulling it. It's listening to the story intently because this is probably also the first he's hearing of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know what's his face told Fitz before joining up with us.
Yeah,
Well, he got to hear our report.
Yeah, he would have been.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
heard and seen the report, so yeah.
Okay, that
He
is.
might have had all the details, but
Yeah.
He probably
Hey,
just
Dominic.
act like he was hearing the story for the first time.
Okay, that's an 18 on my insight.
Okay, Liam, I would just like to say that's awesome. Yeah, you see, she still has that hard kind of pursed-lipped expression. But when Lenore is like describing the cult of the old earth, there is like a softening of her expression towards you. Very much like she knows what you've been through, and she realizes
Older
like
wasn't part of the deal with
a little
the
bit, yeah. And you sort of, from her eyes, you just get the impression that she's saying, I'm sorry you had to get involved with this. But you can also see, with an 18, I'll say, like, there is a swell of pride that you've kind of just taken it in your stride and dealt with it and, risen above it. And she's, she'll never say it, but she's very happy with you.
Yeah, like at that, your pride and you dealt with it, Tanith is going to, like, sensing that from her, she's just gonna kind of look away because she knows that she did not handle it very well. And the fact that she had to resort to sleeping draughts to make it through, and that she's, like, still suffering from nightmares, but, that they've gotten worse since Trunham.
Yeah. Very well, Sister Venture will say. Her expression going dark again. This is troubling news, and as I understand it, you are being sent to raid. That is correct?
It is correct, yes.
Well, I suppose that will have to do for now. I would have liked to send someone a bit more senior, but... well, you were insisted upon. So be it. You're all dismissed. I suggest you find some food and a warm bed. The refectory is open. Tanith, you will show them where.
Tanith will nod in the secret language of nods, and turn and like extend a hand. Send Ave out the door.
And stand up straight, girl. You're not a beggar.
And she'll like throw her shoulders back and you know, smartly march out of the room.
Yeah.
And is going to, as soon as like the door closes, is going to like run her fingers through her hair to like try like tighten up the bun so that it's not quite as messy.
Yeah. And like when you get outside, you see like everyone in this place stands up real straight. They all have real good posture. And yeah, Tanith will lead you guys into the refectory. It's like large, long tables. And you know you see like at the far end, there's like a large table going crossways that has like several people behind it with bowls of stew and such. And she's feeding, you know, and you're able to sort of go up and get a bowl, and you see like lots of people sitting around enjoying meals. Some like their noses in books, others like laughing and joking. A few people like sitting on their own, looking a little bit tired or, you know, depressed. Few people who look like maybe they've had a rough week or two. And currently it's still early, so there's plenty of space for you guys to get a seat on your own or with someone else, up to you.
We all sit in opposite corners of the room. Hate each other.
No.
Ava would definitely like to give a polite nod to the sister as he stands and leaves, and then will acquiesce to stew.
Sorry, I forgot to mention as well, as you're leaving, Sister Ventral will just raise like 2 fingers towards Lenore to tell her to stay behind.
Sure, I kind of expected her to be.
Yeah, I meant to say that, but I forgot.
It sounded like we were getting dismissed. So I assumed that Lenore was staying.
Well, I'm glad everyone got that, but yeah, I felt necessary to explicitly say.
Fitz says goodbye with a big wave and a smile.
It is not reciprocated,
That's
but you are given a nod. Yeah, so you guys finding a seat?
Go sit. I'm not.
Tanith is
together.
Yeah, Tanith is gonna give like the tourism thing, giving like we'll give like the history of like the structures and stuff. Tell it's like something that she's memorized, but like comes easy the history of this place, and she is like sharing it because she has a feeling that Fitz would enjoy it because he's curious about everything, and Aval would enjoy it because he likes knowing a little bit about everything that he is around. So she's going to share it with them.
You know, it was originally the Sanctum was the shack of a lone priest. His name was Brother Argo, Argo. He kind of came up the mountain to test himself, and he built the shack, and people just began to come to him, and so he built just more and more space, and eventually knocked everything down and rebuilt the Sanctum as one large building. and he's sort of the person who started the whole thing. And so yeah, you know, you can see there's maybe like one brick where there's like a distinct like hammer mark or something that's like, you know, the sort of most touristy thing that it has, where you can see, you know, where the first brick was laid or something.
He was the Silver Wind?
No, he was a priest of the Silver Wind. This is just where, you know, is the Silver Wind was a dragon that he supposedly met and imparted the wisdom of the ages to Argo.
As they, I'm assuming as this tour is going on, they're passing some of the sadder looking individuals. Fitz introduces himself to everyone.
You don't get many good responses, though mostly just kind of quiet nods. You get the impression this is a place full of Taniths and Lenores rather than Avals and Fitzes.
That's okay.
I'm presuming the Silver Wind. So this is like their Vatican. This is their holiest place, or
Pretty much, yeah.
oldest place. And
Both,
I presume
really.
they have chapter houses and stuff like in the capital or something. Like it'll be familiar. So this Argo was one of the founding members.
Considered the founding member.
The founding member.
Yeah.
So the dragon spoke to him, and he spoke to all of us.
Yeah. So like the religion was existed beforehand, but Argo was the you know, he didn't start the belief in the Silver Wind, but he started the church.
It's basically a religion that is based off of a dragon that is also like Jack Frost / Northwind / Winter type thing. So it's all very, you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Strength and solitude.
And
No
knowledge.
one's entirely sure how it started.
Knowledge.
Stoic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys can find some hearty stew and a little place to sit. Lenore. Once everyone's gone and you see Sister Ventry like walks over and locks the door and motions for you to sit in one of the two chairs. And she'll walk over to a cupboard. And she'll open it and like push aside a book. And you see she pulls out like a small like glass bottle that's been like wrapped in a sort of netting of rope, or like hemp, and two glasses, and like pulls them from a little hiding place, like places them down on the table and like pours a small portion in each and stoppers the bottle and puts it on the table, and she sits down opposite you. She like takes a glass, like closes her eyes, has a sip, and like really savors it. You know, like she's a very strict vegetarian, and she doesn't, you know, her body is very much a temple, and it's not often that she will indulge. She has excellent willpower, so she will sort of savor the small sip. And then after a few moments she'll just say, "Do you have it, Lenore?"
Normal sigh and pick up the glass. I do.
And you think it is relevant to this case?
You do?
I asked. Sorry, did you say I do?
I said, yeah.
She'll nod. May I see it?
Yeah. Lenore will rummage through her pack and pull out the book.
Does Ventril will take it? She like opens the pages. There's that kind of ASMR thing. She like runs her fingers down them quietly, and she opens it to a page splattered with blood and like running ink, or ink that once ran, I would say, and like scribbled notes in the blank spaces. This is it, isn't it?
It is.
The cancer to be cut out. She reads a quote from one of the notes. Do you think you can stop it?
The only reason I'm here now.
But do you think you have a chance?
I don't know, but I've got to try.
Well, I must admire your courage, but do you think your colleagues are up to the task?
Aval and Tanith, I'm sure are. I've just met Fitz not that long ago. He can handle himself in a fight.
So, your next step is to go to raid, yes?
Yes. There's some leads there on a potential cell of the cult.
Very well. You, I suppose, will find well, you might find a fair bit of danger there, and I feel it is important that you be given every chance to succeed. But I will warn you, Lenore, I see much of myself in you. You are strong and you are very wise. But there is a fire in you that I do not have. You understand? The reason that you are the best person for this task is that the one who wrote these things, and she'll like tap her finger on the book, is much akin to you.
Lenore will frown at that.
He has much of the same wisdom, the same strength, and yes, that same fire. And you, so far, have controlled your fire, and you have focused it. And I am ever so proud of you.
She taught me to do. Kind of incline her head a little bit.
And it is what I was taught to do. But more importantly, it is also what he was taught to do. Do not go down his path. Because I tell you this, there will be temptation. and it will be easy to mistake the wrong path for the right one.
We're taught to master ourselves to avoid temptation. I believe I've taken those lessons to heart. Turn a blind eye to temptation. I won't go down that path.
Good. That is very good. But you must remember, above all else, your goal is to protect the freedom and sanctity of this world. And any path that would deviate that, even from that, even if that path seems like it will end with the greater good, any path that is not solely in this purpose is the wrong path for you.
Yes, sister.
Good. Now, I have something for you. As I'm sure you had hoped. But
Small smiles.
I do not give this to you lightly. And when you are finished your journey, I want it returned. And I want you returned. Because Lenore, I am getting old. And I want to know that when I am gone, there is someone here who I feel has the wisdom and the strength and the fire to take over from me. Do you understand?
I do, but I don't know that is me.
I was younger than you when I took over. She kind of leans forward a little. And I had no idea what I was doing. But I was given one piece of advice, and I will give that to you now. You were chosen because when it matters, you'll make the correct choice. There are not many who could make the choices that I have made. But in you I see someone who could. Someone who knows how to make difficult decisions. Yes, you are a little abrasive and not excellent at talking to people, but that can be worked on. I was much the same. But what you are, Lenore, is good and wise. You will do well. And she will stand and walk over to a chest in the back of the room, pull a key from beneath her robe and unlock it, and pull out a small wooden box, very old and busted looking. It's like 2 feet long by like half a foot wide, and like, a few inches thick. And she'll kind of bring it over and put it on the table in front of you and sort of watch you expectantly. Inside you see a very large like a silvery kind of reflected almost like flowing looking piece of fabric. Hard to tell what it is because it's like folded in there, but you can see it and feel it's like pulsing with pretty strong magic.
Pull it out of the box.
It like extends out into what appears to be a large silver sash with like these inlaid silver like scale motifs, and then like one kind of what appears to be a silver dragon scale like set in the center of it.
What is this?
Oh no. You spend so much time researching history and science and the like. You've forgotten all the children's tales. And she will like get up again, go over to a bookshelf and pull out like a small like red fabric bound book and like drop it on the table in front of you. And you see like stenciled in silver letters, like stories of the silver wind for children. And you kind of flick through it until you see a page that's kind of like got the corner folded down, and the like short story title is "The Sash of the Silver Wind." Or sorry, the Silver Sash is the name of the story, and it describes when Argo completed his building of the Sanctum. He was gifted a sash that or renders him immune to the elements, or immune to being cold, essentially, and a resistance therein, and let him move and vanish in a cloud of icy fog.
He's wet on me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the thing for me freaked out, and I didn't hear
Oh.
what
Sash
it
renders
does. I
him
heard.
immune to cold elements and resistance therein, and lets him move and vanish in a cloud.
Okay, cool.
He hadn't finished his advice.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It just tells about the sash and about.
Just while I'm reading the flow here and asking questions. Sorry, because you were playing pronoun game with the book earlier. Is that the journal from the cultists that we found in the first season, or is this something else?
Something else.
Oh.
Right.
See, this is why I asked, because
I mean, I
It's-
was going to ask that at some point later.
Yeah,
I'm
it
a
is.
little bit curious for notes.
It is supposed to be a little mysterious. So.
I mean, that's fine. But if this was a TV show, we would know right away that it wasn't the same book. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah. And Sister Ventral will stand and kind of motion to the door, like time for you to go. And she says, maybe read through some of those stories tonight, Lenore. Remind yourself what great heroes are like. She kind of gives you a rare smile.
Roll over a deep bow and gather the things and head off to find the others.
Oh, and Lenore, one more thing. Stand up straight, for God's sake, child.
Yes, sister.
You hear her chuckling as you close the door. Yeah. Yeah, you find them in the refectory, chowing down on some stew.
Stew.
Stew, motherfucker.
Hello, I saved you a plate.
Thank you. I'm starving.
Everything all right?
Did you get in trouble?
No, she didn't get in trouble.
No, I didn't.
That's good.
Wanted to give me a lesson on heroes and my duties to the Sanctum.
Tanith will kind of snort non-committally.
Reminder of who I serve. How is the stew?
It's as good as ever.
So it needs salt.
Yes, always more salt.
How long are you wanting to stay here? The night?
Set off from the woods in the morning, and it's been a couple of hours, so it might be, lunchtime-ish.
Yeah, it's about lunchtime.
Yeah, I don't see the problem with staying the night. Sure
It'll give
are.
Harley a rest too.
Yeah,
Very hard.
he's been. He. I can't remember.
Horses
What
don't know
gen-
the difference.
I assure you, horses
They
very
act-
much know the difference between whether or not they're a gelding or a mare.
Or perhaps
down.
not,
Oh, I
they're
think we
being
talked about
called a gelding.
I think we talked about his balls being chopped off. So I think male.
Gelding.
Yeah, it's a
okay.
gelding.
I couldn't remember, so.
Yeah,
yes,
'cause I
they
had-
definitely know the difference between
Yeah.
whether or not they're a boy or a girl.
Or a gelding or a stallion.
Yeah, give him a rest. Sure, he'll appreciate it.
Well, the roads are already a little safer with what we've done. I'm sure we've earned ourselves a day if you'd like to spend it here. And
Yeah,
you
you
could
can
Sorry?
take in the Sanctum. There's lots to see.
I'm curious, are there any paths further up? I feel like a walk.
There's a few trails to the peak, although probably would take more than a few hours to get to the top, but there's
There
a few
are-
that go higher up, closer to where Argo was.
Yeah, there are a couple that will let you like water for this place is all taken from a wellspring, and so lots of people go on a walk to get water each day. So there's probably a good walk to the water fountain. That's maybe half an hour to an hour.
Unless there are any other sites on your tour, Tanith? And there's a bit of a grin.
She kind of looks a little uncomfortable, and she's all like, well, if you want to go for a walk to see some sights, there's, one trail that kind of goes, over to the east, and you can watch the sunset from over there. It's kind of nice, looking down on the valley. And
Sounds really pretty.
colors, she says, trailing off and blushing awkwardly.
I kind of saw that as like Scott Pilgrim with the colours coming out of your mouth, or like colours, big subtitles, colours.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like just the thing. Come evening time, rare chance to be up this high. Don't get up into the mountains much.
You guys are doing surprisingly well considering. Most newcomers kind of, want to do nothing but sleep because the air is so thin up here.
Yeah, I really thought we'd have to like help you up the last quarter mile.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, the Elven heritage might have something to do with that.
Makes sense, I guess.
Little like
Not-
our feet.
Now you know why Lenore and Tanith don't talk that much is because words cost too much air up here.
Yeah, Fitz is maybe feeling a bit gassy at this point. A bit gassed.
Excellent. Well, we have our evening plans sorted. Now just to while away the afternoon. Did Sister Venture want help with the delivery? Anything we can do?
Yeah, there's always like plenty to help out with, but
Yeah,
equally it's not
at,
expected.
At some point after lunch, Tanith will break away to go tell Sister Ventru about Mora. Say that, basically letting her know, like, hey, we kind of encountered this wildling woman and told her that if she ever, wanted to be around people, she could come here. She might come, describe, and all that other stuff. Basically be all like, treat her nice so that, like, she remembers us fondly.
Yeah.
This is not all like, those motherfuckers!
Yeah, you get a very like, of course kind of thing.
She's a little scary looking, so don't, like, let people go be people around her.
Ha! Well put.
She deserves better than what the knee-jerk reaction might be. She says awkwardly, and then dismisses herself and runs away.
Yeah, but yeah, you guys can spend the day enjoying the quiet, pleasant evening, we'll say, afternoon.
I'm just asking, as part of his work, has he been up to raid before? If he's worked there for, I don't know, a decade or more? I'm not sure if
It's
he's had
possible.
reason to go to the Sanctum beyond maybe delivering the odd message. He might not have stayed there for...
It's
probably
unlikely.
not all.
It's unlikely you've been to the Sanctum, yeah, but
You've gone to raid.
you may have gone to raid, yeah.
Okay.
We can give you a roll. Do you think?
Sorry, what?
Should we say history roll, and then if you do well enough, you've been there and you know like what it's like.
If you like, I'm happy enough not to have been to the Sanctum or very only briefly, but I think he's probably been to raid on the major road to deliver
Yeah.
something at some point.
I was meaning like roll to see how much you know about raid. Sorry.
Okay.
We'll say advantage because you've lived there for so long.
Okay. Right, history. You said history?
Yeah.
Rob?
Yeah.
17.
17. Yeah, you've been to raid a few times maybe.
Okay.
It's
I'm just curious. He has been up and
Yeah.
like, felt the cold a bit.
yeah.
We should flesh out his Elven heritage thing now that you revealed they're in the mountains. I'm quite
Yeah.
curious.
I have a lot of elf lore for you.
Sweet.
We can do that. I'll maybe message you. I'll add it to my homework to give you a little lore drop. I have a Google Keep note that's DM homework that C makes me remember.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Eval elf
Oh.
stuff.
Right. Aval, being the good boy that he is, possibly like finish it. Like he will offer to help people if they need help. And they all seem, not that open. They might not accept it. He might find a quiet corner for some time during the day to like finish some reports.
Yeah, they do have a library, a pretty extensive one, so this is a good place to find work in there.
Excellent.
As you
like describing the Figurelog Bog and the witch and the Froghemoth and stuff. I'm not sure if that is something we're particularly familiar with, or if more information. Like, I presume they know all about this Sanctum. So he's not
Yeah.
writing anything about this place, but more about what they got up to in the fog.
Yeah.
And like even like a detailed thing about suffering from that disease.
Yeah.
Of the feet and stuff. Just more information on it might be helpful.
For sure. Yeah, so as you just like before that, like as you enter the library, you see like you're confronted. I imagine Lenore or Tanith would have to be with you because they know what awaits in the library. It's this huge vaulted room, like probably the biggest room in the whole building, just stuffed full of knowledge. But standing behind this like large kind of curving desk is a tiefling, like very old, kind of like this salt and pepper kind of stubble across his face, and like this like long flowing grey hair. His skin is like flaming red and purple, but is kind of like going a little kind of wrinkly and sallow in his old age. And you can see he's like his cloak is pretty heavily open, like down to like the top of his abs maybe, and you can see he's like got lightning scars all across his chest and like all down his arm, and he's got these like small like round spectacles sitting on his nose, and he kind of frowns at you very sternly as you walk in.
Is that scars in the shape of lightning bolts, or is that scars that you would have got from being hit by lightning? That
Light,
like net
the
vascular pattern.
yeah, the latter.
Right.
And yeah, he kind of fixes you with a very like yeah, Lichtenberg figures. That's what I was trying to remember the name of. Sorry. Yeah, he's like fixes you all with a stare. And when he talks, like one side of his face doesn't quite move, the same as the other. And he says, "Who are you?" And then he'll kind of see Lenore, and you see he kind of like rolls his eyes.
This is me.
Figured you would say that.
It's true.
He kind of jerks his head backwards, and he says, "You can go, but you're not taking any books out."
I'm not going anywhere.
He means like go, use the facilities.
Yes, but he means he's not
Oh, I see.
leaving with the books.
Yeah, well,
Attention.
I'll be watching, so keep those fingers to themselves.
Please do. I appreciate the oversight. He gives him a grin. Shit-eating grin, possibly, at this point.
It is not reciprocated.
Mhm.
You go, like, find a table.
Thanks, Lenore. Is there anything I should know, or I shouldn't be more than, an hour or two?
Don't talk to the junior acolyte because they're a bunch of morons and don't know where anything goes. And that table back there is the best table to work at, where no one will bug you, and don't mess with his books.
Well, best behavior.
Oh, and if you need help finding anything, good luck. Because I don't think there is an organizational system worth a damn.
I'll try my best.
You know, like legitimately every time a new head librarian comes and takes over, he gets this perfect system and he sets about organizing everything. And then by the time he gets halfway through, he croaks. And someone else comes in with a brand new system. So there's like 40 systems in here, at least. Best of luck. Just pat him on the shoulder.
If you need anything, do come and get me. He calls after you as you leave. He'll like get to writing some of his immediate thoughts and stuff down with his own stuff, or what is provided, I guess, whatever he has to make reports with. And he might peruse some volumes as he's here. Seemingly at random, I presume, because there's 40 different systems.
They are like vaguely in general, like it's not so much that they're like there's a system, but you know, like all the books that have stuff to do with like water are over here, and things that have to do with like trees and tree adjacent things, and also for some reason like horse carts are in this place.
They're
And
made
you
of
know,
wood. Horse carts are made of wood. That's why they're there.
Tree adjacent.
it's the kind of thing where like if you live and work there, you know where everything is, but if you've never been there before, you got no fucking clue.
Yeah. He will largely try and make his reports off his own back, and then maybe try and like back that up with some of the information from this library. If he can find anything, he'll just while away a few hours until maybe dinner time, and then maybe they'll have the trek to the sunset peak or something.
Tanith is going to like go find is it like what would you call it, like the weapons yard,
Yeah.
and is gonna go beat up on some noobs, or have some noobs beat up on her, because
That's what Lenore's gonna do.
hey, let's go beat the shit out of some junior acolytes, because they don't know shit and they need to have their teeth kicked in to learn
Yep.
respect.
We
I
walk
believe
in
it's
like
called
we own the
Haley.
place. Yep. We walk in like we own the place.
Yeah. You see like Fitzy with them, maybe just to watch.
Or does Fitz go invest, like,
Yeah,
exploring on his
what's
own?
Fitz
Oh
doing?
god.
Fitz is actually gonna. The story that Lenore was telling was interesting. So he goes to like one of the people who's kind of sitting on their own and says, "My friend was telling me about the heroes of this place. Do you know any stories?" And he like puts his hands in his paws.
The young woman looks up at you with a very and like kind of raises a sardonic eyebrow. No.
Those are my favorite eyebrows. Sorry.
No. No, there must be some interesting stories about the Silverine.
You should go to the chapel. There are more interesting stories in the chapel.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, what is your name?
Marka.
What was that, sorry?
Marka. I'll
Marka.
put it in the chat.
Hello, my name is Fitzberg. Thank you for your advice. I will go to the chapel and get stories. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately starts toddling off to the chapel.
Yeah. You're given a very large, weighty religious tome that is, basically the Bible of the Silverwind, and told to read it.
Thank you. What is your name? He says to the person handing him the tome.
I hate you so much, Liam. Brother Yuri.
Brother Yoris, thank you. My name is Fitzberg. Is there somewhere I can read this? Can I just read this in here? Is that okay?
Yes, fine.
Thank you. And he goes, he sits down, and he starts right at the beginning of the book.
Oh boy. Okay.
You can show me some of the, if you want to make some or whatever.
Yeah. No, that's...
Okay,
I'll add it to my homework.
Oh.
I don't mind this homework.
Alright. You can make me D6 different books then. I read in the library.
Of course. I do miss doing the keep books, to be honest. They were fun.
Do I come across the the Silver Sash story? Just because it's a story that we already know exists.
Roll me an investigation check. Because it's not like... It is a story in there, but Lenore was given the kids version to look at,
Yeah.
so...
Investigation is 0, so that's 17.
Yeah, you do come across it.
Okay,
So yeah, Tanith and Lenore walk out into the yard, and there's this fairly brand new acolyte. He's a big, dumb-looking guy, and he immediately challenges Lenore to a fight, and is showboating a bit till Lenore jump kicks him in the face or whatever. But yeah, he's very much taught a lesson. And you can tell, in your absence, he's kind of been the big fish of the yard so far.
Anybody else?
Oh,
I guess all day.
there's plenty, but not many of them want to fight you. That's the only problem.
What about Tanith? Can she dupe any of them into fighting her?
Oh, for sure. But you can still kick their ass and stuff.
Duel.
With that whole spiritual weapon behind them, hit them in the back of the head move you were just doing to that assassin.
No. She's This is all straight.
Fisticuffs.
Girl.
Queensborough rules.
Well, beating them upside the head with a wooden mallet or whatever. Wooden sword.
Okay.
Baton. Lots of kneecaps. Few bruised ribs.
Definitely bruised egos.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I just imagine her in her prayers tonight to the Silverwind. And I beat many kneecaps in your name. Smash, smash, smash.
She's basically trying to wear herself out so that she can sleep tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
She has a late night excursion to the top of the mountain. So we meet for dinner? Yes?
Before that, I just had one little thing. Aval, as you're kind of setting up on the table, the tiefling librarian comes over with a large stack of books and slams them down next to you, on the desk. It makes you drop a blot of ink, and then he begins he takes one book and climbs very slowly and creakily up a ladder nearby, and he puts the book in, and you can see then he's staring down to try and read upside down what you're writing.
So Ava finishes his sentence with a flourish or something, and without looking at him at this moment. I'm not sure the Queen approves of her missives being read over one of her agent's shoulders.
I have
Something
glasses.
funny
You think
for that,
I'm?
And he kind of like waves his quill or something.
Says, I have glasses. You think I'm reading over your shoulder? Fool. Creakily climbs down, gets another book, and creakily climbs back up.
Well, just, fair warning that what I write is important. I'm sure
I
what
say.
you're doing is important as well. He kind of like swivels slightly on his chair, like away from what he's doing. We're all on the same side, right?
Fine, I won't look. It's very boring here.
Is that so?
When I was your age, I just run out and get into all kinds of mischief. And, well, I like the library, I like the books, but only because they give me something else, an escape. It's not bad. I like it here, but I do miss being out. Like sighs and kind of leans on the pile of the books.
Well, can you get a different posting? Could you see the world a little?
Too old for all that now. It's a long way down the mountain and an even longer way back up.
What's like the diplomatic status with the Silverwind? Is it something that you can share information with, or?
Yeah, I mean the not confidential information. They're not like a
Sure, I didn't
faction
want to
of
go
the
telling them
crown.
about the cult of the Silver Wind that like only really the matron should know about, or someone
Yeah,
else.
no, they're
Sorry, the cult of the old Earth.
They're, yeah.
The Silver Wind.
You could tell they probably already know at least some details. So
I didn't know how closely they were like entwined.
yeah.
But, if it was like above board to an extent.
Yeah.
Not that anyone's going to question it
Like,
or something.
Yeah, I think if you avoid like
Details
of plans
sure.
and stuff, you're fine.
Well, if you like stories, I do have one. Not what I'm writing here, but something that has already been dealt with. Don't see the harm.
I'd like that very much.
Like I said, we're all on the same side, so... April is going to, finish whatever thought he had for the report, and then put it to one side, and while this... maybe pass a few books up to this guy while he's climbing around or something, and he'll basically tell him with, like, a redacted version of their defeating of the older soul that has happened already, so...
Yeah, and he's, like, hanging on your every word very much, loving, being able to hear a new story that he hasn't already read or heard or seen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you go.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, by the end of your story, he kind of he's like grinning and he kind of pats you on the shoulder. He says, well, politician's the wrong word, I suppose, but for a city boy, you're not bad. And he'll sort of motion you to follow him.
He will follow. I imagine Avo kind of ended the story, and then I killed the god.
Yeah, he'd enjoy that.
But he will follow.
And he will like go over to his desk and pull out a drawer and pull out a sort of purple bound book and hand it to you. It's like quite dusty. You can see in like very faded letters, and you see it says Tales of Kovacs, and I'll put that in
Ring
there.
bells? If it shouldn't,
It's-
however, I don't
it's-
have to roll.
It's unlikely to, but it's not an impossibility, so you can have a roll. Yeah, it wasn't an easy roll anyway. This is
That was not a good
yeah.
roll.
This that's well, my father wrote that about my grandfather, and well, I think you'd like it, and well, I wish I'd like more people to know his story. So when you're done with it, maybe give it to another library. That would mean a lot to me. I can tell you're someone who appreciates a good story.
He takes it reverentially, kind of opens to like the first page or something, or the title page of the Tales of Kovacs by someone Kovacs.
By Kovacs.
Kovacs, yeah. So, this blood runs in your veins, does it? Worthy of writing?
You see in the front page there's a hand drawing, very like Conan style, of an overly muscular tiefling. It looks very similar to the monk in front of you. And he nods and he says, "We're an intrepid family, and well, unfortunately, I chose this life. So this line is ending with me, I suppose." And you see he kind of looks past you. Not something that mattered to me as a young man, but, well, makes me a little sad that it's ending, but, well, if this book is, if at least some people have heard our story, maybe our name won't be forgotten, you know.
Because of the Silver Wind cannot take children.
We
Devoted to him.
do not concern ourselves as much with things of that nature. It's not against our laws, but there are some of us who take oaths, and I've taken such an oath.
You've chosen a path, an important one.
It is,
Sure you-
and I do not regret it, but it would not be a worthy path if there were not sacrifice, and I have paid a hefty sacrifice. But this is some way to eschew that, I suppose.
Very true. What you do here, and he sort of beckons to the books with open arms. Guardians of knowledge. Unfortunately, little remembered, but that doesn't matter so much when the knowledge is still remembered down every line, every generation. This is your legacy. And then he holds the book. I'll make sure it spreads further.
Yeah, he puts his hand on your shoulder and gives you a squeeze, and you see his eyes are misting up, and he's trying not to cry, and he just says, "Thank you. What was your name again?"
Aval Bryn. Like I said, I work for the courts,
Yes.
and indirectly the Queen.
I'll remember
No, you go.
He says, I'll remember your name, Eva Brennan. Well, next time you're here, we can break bread and you can tell me another story. How about that?
I'd like that very much. And then he'll like lean in and go, they have a library at the palace. I can see that book here.
The palace. His eyes like wide and his face breaks into like a stunned smile. That is. Thank you.
A fine home. For what I'm sure is a tale worthy of it. And he'll like clasp the guy on the shoulder. But for now, I have to return to my work. Of course, got to fill that library somehow.
Of course. One thing before you go, and he'll take the book back off you and open it. Is he pulls a red and gold feather from the drawer, and like puts it in almost like a bookmark, and like closes the book and hands it back to you. So, quill for good luck. And he'll kind of potter away to go finish putting away the books and hide that he's almost weeping openly.
Yeah, I'll give him a nod as he says call for good luck, and then return, finish the work.
That's Brother Kovacs, by the way, just in case you were.
In case I was guessing.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you all meet up for your evening meal before going on your hike, I imagine. All having various experiences, some sporting black eyes and bloody noses, I imagine. Others sporting paper cuts. But you might die.
Sorry. Some, damp hair from like having an ice bath.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they cut ice. Cut the ice, jump into a pond.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely like a hazing ritual challenge type thing where, everyone goes in and whoever can stay in the longest is the hardest kind of thing,
Tanith has blue lips, and like her eyes are more bruised than usual from the cold, but she looks happy and relaxed.
I can see you got up to some trouble. My absence.
Best kind. You beat some people up, and then I went swimming.
They deserved it. I shouldn't have been talking shit.
Definitely. They needed to remember who was boss around here. She kind of nudges Lenore's arm with her own.
Yeah, well, I stop by every once in a while. It's a good place.
You Fitz? Is his head still in a book?
I was
he
going to
allowed
say his
to
head's
take
still
it?
in the book. He's still reading.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
I'm glad.
I would tell you about it, but Rob hasn't done his homework yet.
Well, perhaps you can tell me another time when you've finished the story.
He shuts the book and puts it in his backpack.
Are they allowing you to take a Holy Bible book?
Yeah.
from this?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they.
King James
They have
version.
a choice.
It's fine.
Okay. I just didn't want it to be that massive tome that was
No. It's yeah. There's loads of them, and they want people to know about it.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
assuming he
there's
didn't
like
take it
one
off,
on
it was because he
everybody's-
left the chapel.
There's like one on every nightstand. On the guest quarters.
Even in random hotels. Aren't at all related.
Gideon keeps leaving his Bible everywhere. I keep running into that dude.
So, what's for dinner? More
Stew.
I was going to say, if it's stew, I'm going to flip. So.
It's a very stew-based culture. just because they haven't got much. But
Warm. It's easy to make for a lot of people.
Breakfast
is-
stew has like some eggs in, or like an egg on top, and then there's lunch stew, and then there's dinner stew.
Don't be daft. Breakfast is oats.
yeah, no, it's a rice dish for dinner, with some suspiciously rehydrated meats.
Okay, we're way up in the middle of fucking nowhere.
They've just cut up bits of jerky, but it tastes good.
The Silvervin knows how to eat.
Need the calories to stay warm.
Can I just is the red and gold feather quill like fine quality, magic quality,
It's magical.
magical? Okay.
Magical.
He probably would have finished his report with his normal one, but he will spend some time with that quill at some point.
Indeed.
This evening. Doesn't have to be right now. Can be after.
Well, we'll do it when you rest, I suppose.
Yeah. And then we got the other ice in the silver sash. You didn't mention mechanically the details of that. So perhaps we could do that.
That is for Jade to divulge as and when she wishes to.
Okay.
More mysteries.
The notes are sad.
I mean, it's more that I gave it to her in D&D Beyond, and she already saw it. But
Okay.
How do you put
There's a book we didn't know
realize
about.
there's someone writing everything down here.
I did forget.
Okay.
It's the details that you need for your note.
Okay.
That you
Except
need.
for
What she decides you need to know.
For the item, yes. For the book, no.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The book is mystery book.
I mean, I've put that down that it isn't horrible. That's fine. Dinner eaten, enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the sad people
Describe
still in
us
the
a
dining room.
majestic ass sunset, Rob.
Hmm.
You heard
To
me?
the walk.
To the sunset.
Yeah.
No,
For a few
Liam,
hours or
Liam was
something.
asking. Liam was asking a question about the.
I'm saying, is the sad people still here?
Yeah, there are some sad people around.
Marka, specifically the ones from earlier, or are they just a different set of sad people?
Nah, none of the same ones. Like, but they're not all sad. They're just, some people are having bad days.
Fitz will introduce himself as he always does, and then comes back to the. He literally goes over and says, "Hello, my name is Fitzberg. How are you?" And then he'll go back. Like, he
Such a
introduces him as
weirdo.
person.
I love it.
Usually he would ask their name, but since he's not sticking around,
Yeah,
he feels like it would be extraneous work.
for sure.
But he's not the Sometimes
Just
it's nice
trying to
if you
give,
take a hello.
You're just giving Rob a break, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, we can do this if you want to, Liam.
Nope. I like you too much.
I like me too.
Now describe us a cool ass sunset.
Okay.
Yeah, cool, that's
Well, so we have some things before that. You'll begin the trek north, with warnings that the ground is treacherous, and the area can be dangerous in the evening. But you head out nonetheless, and find your way up the path towards the what's it called? The shit, I forgot the name. The Silver Flow is the name of the river that runs down the mountain.
I would
and
say
you've-
that when we're away from it, he somewhat brings the bag
Yeah.
of Carl and leaps out.
For sure.
His friend.
And yeah, so you guys kind of reach not quite the summit, but a higher
Something like-
area. Yeah. and yeah, you see this rosy pink glow of the sun setting in the west, like, and you can like look out over the ridge. Behind you is Sona, and in front of you is Leshland, and you're kind of standing on the split, 1 foot in each country, kind of thing. And as you turn, like looking north, you see in amongst the mountains, there's like faint glittering a very, very long way away. That the older Sanctum members always tell the younger ones that it's the city of the elves, but you don't know how true that is. It's very beautiful. And as you all take it in for a little while, the cold begins to set in again, and you feel yourselves getting chilly once again. And so you decide to head down back towards the Sanctum. And as you go,
Okay, sorry. Just before we turn back down, Aval with like, I imagine we're all, I don't know, sitting legs over the bluff or something like that at some point, pointing in the direction of the setting sun, and Tyler is kind of like behind Aval or behind everybody, probably due to size, and he's just kind of like relaxed back into the fur. And just kind of addresses the group at large, and makes you feel kind of small, doesn't it? The infinite horizon, the huge mountain range.
Everything is new and beautiful, but this is the most beautiful.
It's peaceful up here.
The roof of the world.
It's easy to forget all the troubles.
Well, hopefully there'll be a few less when we're done.
Is that what we're for?
Yeah.
Soon they'll be telling stories about us.
They're going to be telling stories about Lenore for a few weeks at least. So I've never heard a grown man make noises like that when you like bent him in half and he like she starts giggling.
Yeah, well. Shouldn't have implied that about my mother.
Mm. Talk shit, get bent.
Can you
You
bend a
always
human being?
you actually can.
Oh,
It takes work, but I mean it can be done.
hmm. I don't know if I want to see that.
Okay. It is pretty cool though.
Fitz
Just in case
purrs
you're wondering.
softly. Fitz purrs softly. Just at the sight of the thing. Not necessarily about the bending men.
I've just I've written. They speak of of being small, the quiet, the roof of the world, forgetting our troubles, a few less when we're done, the bending of human beings. Seems like you two enjoy being home.
I miss it.
Yeah?
Why did
Yeah.
you leave?
I was told to go and take care of some things in front of me.
Tennis?
When
Tanith is like looking away from everybody. And she just says, because I couldn't keep hiding here.
Why did you leave home, Eva?
Well, Sona is my home. Corolla is my home. This is all kind of my home. I just travel a lot, I guess. A lot of important people have a lot of important things to say to each other, and someone has to do it. Or, important things done. Wasn't really a reason why I left home, just why not? I guess. And he's kind of like relaxing back, arms over his head, just buried in the fur, looking up.
Fitz nods sort of understandingly, points at the sunset, and says, "This is why I left. It's like sights like this."
The sun doesn't set where you came from?
Doesn't set like it does here.
He shakes his head. He shakes his head and like, yeah, that's right. It doesn't set in the same way. The Fair Realm is a strange place.
And you enjoy the peace of this one?
It's hard to say. There is a beauty in seeing something new for the first time. And when something is beautiful to people who could see it all the time, that just adds to it. Does that make sense?
I think so. You've come a long way. Why do you do what you do for the fair realm of Sona?
I don't do it for the realm. I do it for me.
Sounds kind of selfish.
Fairies tend to be. But I'm sure my mother wouldn't have let me leave for no reason. Maybe she knew that I would become something more. Who knows? I'm not trying to get bogged down in destiny. I'm just trying to leave. As you look at him, you can see him kind of rocking slightly, like from side to side. It's a very peaceful sort of sway.
Wow. I would say I hope you find what you're looking for, but it seems you find what you're looking for everywhere. So I hope you find more of it.
I hope the same for all of you.
I think I picked up you were maybe chattering on that last one. Should we head back?
Probably before we lose the light.
Well, what's left of it? And he kind of jumps up lightly, lithely, as the sun is setting. on, Tyler girl. We have to head home. He kind of like ruffles her both hands, like past the wrists, I imagine, in the fur.
Yeah, for sure.
Fur.
As you guys head home, I actually think it's a really nice scene to end on. I was thinking about maybe going a little longer, but I actually think that's probably a good place to end it, and then we can start tomorrow with you guys just heading out, if everyone's cool with that. Just, I really, really enjoyed that scene.
Door